Mike and Tom are registered with Steward Partners Global Advisors. Common Sense Finance with Mike Wiginton and Tom Farrell of HL Wiginton Capital Management, an independent investment and financial planning firm in downtown Jasper. Mike is a chartered financial analyst charter holder, and Tom is a certified financial planner professional. They are here to discuss and give their thoughts on current financial and economic matters. Now, with Common Sense Finance, here are Mike and Tom.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Common Sense Finance. This is Tom Farrell. I'm Mike Wiginton. Today's topic is going to be on financial planning, and I think we
Kind of,
yeah. All right, that's what
it's
we're
a
talking.
two-parter.
All right. Really? Yeah, well, kind of. Well, we decided that the name of today's podcast is going to be "The Truth About Financial Planning."
Yeah.
And so, what kind of stimulated this, generated this conversation is a little micro rant from Tom, a little diminutive Tom Farrell rant. He doesn't get into big ones over a radio show that you came across over the weekend while you were driving down the road. And so, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was flipping around on the radio, and because I don't listen to the radio a lot, but anyway, I caught just a snippet of a couple of, I think they were married, talking about being retirement planning specialists, and they were kind of going into their practice and what they do and how they do it, and it just, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, a little bit, because they were, one of their main things was no matter what you've done your entire life, no matter if you have a financial advisor that you work, and there are a lot of good financial advisors out there, that when it comes time for retirement, you need to come see us, because we're the retirement planning specialists. We're going to be the ones that, no matter who you've worked with in the past, we're the only people, basically is the way they made it sound, that can get you into the retirement and make sure everything's good, because we know all the pitfalls, we know the right moves to make in retirement, and that's our specialty. So I did a little research on these folks, and they've been in the business, maybe 10, 11, 12 years, and I'm not going to call their names, and they have, their insurance registered or licensed, so they can sell insurance products, and they're Series 65 registered, which you shouldn't know what that means, but basically it means they are registered investment advisors. So they passed the test to get that license, and they, which is not an easy test, but it's certainly a fairly low barrier to entry. If you have some time to study and you have a little, common sense and can figure things out, you could probably pass that test. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it sounded to me like, and I've heard these before, because these people are all over the place, that maybe, this may be their second career, this may be something that they've done for a long time, it varies, but a lot of the buzzwords they were saying related back to insurance and annuities that they were talking about using to help their clients with. So, hey, we've got this product, even if the market goes down, you're still going to get income. I mean, that's basically what an annuity is. And they did not talk at all about, hey, here's maybe some reasons why you should or shouldn't use these products. It was all, hey, this is the way to go. You've got to come see us, because we're the only ones that can help you with your situation. So that was kind of my little mini rant on those folks. And then what I wanted to say is, be aware of those kind of folks. They're not all ill-intended, but a lot of them are not what they hold themselves out to be. So,
did they say, two things come to mind, did they say what made them, what particular degree that they had, or what sort of background or anything like that made them, quote, specialists or experts? Did they mention that?
No. They just basically said this is the area we focus on, so that's what.
And so generally those sorts of presentations fall into two camps. Normally fall into one camp if they're on any sort of medium like radio or internet or anything like that. And well, I'll take the internet back because you can actually find some educational stuff on the internet. but it's a sales pitch versus people that actually have technical backgrounds.
Right.
And because the fact of the matter is that relatively speaking, the bar is fairly low. Like you said, it's a very low barrier to entry to get into this advisory business, and unfortunately that's true. Medicine is sort of one I think of that's obviously high. I mean, legitimate people in medicine. I guess there have been known some people that were pretending to have medical degrees but didn't. I don't know how they pull that off, but obviously there's a bar there that's very high in terms of not just the schooling, years and years of schooling, but the tests and so forth, and the practice that you have to go through. Tax and legal advisors. I mean, there's some educational hurdle there that's not, I mean, people think of it that way, but quite frankly, I don't think of it as being huge. And certainly when you get into practice, there are large ranges in tax and legal of people that are authorized to practice in those fields, but there's a huge range of skill level in those. And so, it can be hard in lots of different professions to find people
and that's
that have
easy to measure
technical backgrounds
with those kind of people. I mean,
sometimes it's not. I mean, people like on your accountants, which are I think of the tax field, that depending on what your circumstance is, you might need a more sophisticated accountant that has a lot more experience than if you were just if you had a complex business structure versus if you were just filling out a 1040 EZ, right? And sometimes for that individual seeking the tax advice, I mean, it may be hard for them to really measure and know. It seems like over time maybe that comes out.
But I mean,
anyway.
if they have a CPA, they have a minimum level of education.
That's right.
That's right. Just like an MD, whatever their specialization is. But and the other thing that they said that I thought was funny is, well, you may have an advisor you work with, and they may be great, and they may have done a great job for you so far, but when it comes time to retire, you really need to probably come see us, because they're focused on managing your money. They're not focused on these issues that you're going to deal with in retirement planning. And you said this the other day, and I thought it was perfect, is, without assets, there is no estate planning or retirement planning or any kind of planning, because you have to have the assets there to implement any plan you have. So for them to say something like that was just, I thought was absurd. But anyway, but this all circles back to what we do and what a lot of people do is, in retirement planning, it's financial planning. The majority of financial planning we do, the plans we run, are geared strictly toward retirement, making sure that they're going to have enough money, that the glide path is going to be smooth, and they're going to be able to cover medical expenses, all that stuff, long-term care.
But that's a very tricky and difficult proposition.
And one of the things that people maybe have a false sense of security, like we had talked about. They get a financial plan and everything looks good. And like with our plans, there's a probability of success. And so if you've got a score of 90, that's great. I mean, that's showing you that, hey, you're going to be in great shape, shouldn't have any issues. But where the false sense of security comes in, the forecast that we're making and the financial planning software we use is making, they're not going to be any good next week or next year, or so you constantly have to stay on top of it. Make sure you're adjusting for inflation. Now is a big thing.
Right. Well, they might not, and you remember, and we don't have to get into all the details of it. It doesn't matter. But not that long ago, we had a financial plan that would have a 90% probability of success. Great,
right.
But the system's forecasting a 2% inflation rate, and when you change that to like 4.5% inflation rate, then it completely wrecks the plan. And so, that's what I always, one of the primary things that I would talk about or mention when I said false sense of confidence is that, hey man, we know that these assumptions we're going to make, especially if they're over 30 years or more, 30-year horizon, 25, 30-year or longer horizon, they're going to be wrong. Some of them are going to be wrong in our favor. Some of them are going to be wrong not in our favor. And like you said, the only way to mitigate the inherent weaknesses in which are false
in the forecasting process,
is you're constantly updating them.
Yeah.
And so, that's, and the understanding of what and why all those numbers work together, I don't know. Myself, I wouldn't want a generalist. I wouldn't want a history person with a history degree explaining that to me, but that's just my thoughts.
No, and that was one of the things I wanted to get across is there's a lot of those type people in this business that are trying to hold themselves out as being specialists. I don't think they can use the word expert. I think the SEC and FINRA frowns on that, but they try to hold themselves out that way, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times that's just not the case. So,
Anything else to add on that?
That's it.
All right. Until next time.
Controversy.